Still muted. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. It's the after party. I'm Monkey, and we're here to just kill time, be honest with you. Uh, I'm kind of bored, and I got Red Dead waiting for me, but until I'm ready to do a game stream, I'm not gonna start it. So uh, I was just killing time, playing other video games and listening to music, and then I saw somebody mention the Shannon Sharp Kamala Harris interview and how it had more dislikes than likes, and that most people in the comments are just like, I didn't even watch it. I just came here to jump in the comments and say I was born into a middle class family. The comments are actually fucking spectacular. But yeah, I heard it was a train wreck, and I'm like, oh God, am I gonna watch this thing? And so I turned it on and I did start watching. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I have seen a little bit of this. Not much, not very much at all. Let me make sure I have the right screen up. There we go. Um, I watched halfway into her first answer here, or what I'm assuming is halfway in. She gave a rather long answer, so I might have stopped right near the end. I have no idea because I cut it off while she was still talking. Um, that's where we're gonna pick it up. Now, a couple of things. If you're watching this and you have to step away for any reason and you come back later, you're like, oh, I'll catch the rest of it later, and it's gone on YouTube. Don't be shocked. Just go watch it on Rumble. I don't know how Shannon Sharp is with his copyright stuff. We'll be well within fair use because we always are, but just in case. Also, Shannon has some kind of speech impediment. I don't know exactly what it is. He kind of you ever see those British YouTubers where their tongues are too big for their mouths? He kind of sounds like that, but with a actual manly sounding voice, not a British sounding voice. And I thought you hated how he sounded. I do. I really do. And again, it's not something I think is bad about him as a person. It's just the way he speaks, but it can be grating at times. And you have that with Kamala's cackle. And she was cackling during the introduction, saying, thank you, a stream in the PM. You sick or something? No, I'm just bored out of my mind, my friend. So he's introducing her and giving her all these props for all these first things she was. And she's cackling through it. There was nothing funny about it. She's like, yeah. Like, goddamn, man. Anyway, this is her first answer. The question that was posed to her was, hey, before we get into what you're going to do as president, I want to know what it was like when Joe Biden called you. Where were you? What were you doing? And how, and what did you think? That is the question. Now, I don't know why Shannon doesn't know. She's told this story before, so it's not like there's breaking ground here or anything. And I don't know why anybody really wants to know the answer to this question. I guess maybe for just general curiosity. But is that you have the possible president of the United States, and your question is, what was it like when Joe Biden called and told you that he was going to not run? And why does everybody ask her this shit? Tyrai, thank you. Monkey, did you see the investigation going on in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania on 2,500 voter registration applications? They said at least 60% of the applications were flagged. I did not. I've seen a lot of election weirdness going on. There was a where was that at? Somewhere in Florida. I want to say Miami-Dade, where they were transporting a ballot box and bags of ballots that supposedly had already been counted, and they are all sealed. These are actual votes. They're not empty ballots. Fell off the back of a truck. Nothing to worry about with this election. Fell off the back of a fucking truck. The back of the truck apparently came open and it fell out. And somehow they ended up at the police department. So I'm guessing the guy who dropped them out of his truck didn't know they fell out of his truck. They haven't really explained how they made it to the police station. But yeah, I'm not saying anything fishy happened. And again, my problem isn't that anything fishy has happened. It's that the potential is there. Like with that guy who left his car wide open with ballots in the back of it, and they were like, well, but nobody touched him. That's not the fucking issue. The issue is the potential for problems. You've told me this shit is secure. There's no reason to do all of it on election day because early voting is secure. Now I'm worried about my ballot. But hey, what are the chances that your ballot will fall off the back of a fucking truck? Anyhow, all right. I guess we got to do this. You know what? I might not watch much of this at all. I might just talk. I'm bored. This is what I do when I'm bored. I turn on my microphone and I start talking. I was arguing with an idiot earlier. Go figure. I read one of the dumbest things I've ever read before, and I mean that sincerely. This guy was making the argument that a fertilized egg in a woman invades the mother's body. He basically made it sound like a fertilized egg rapes the mother. And I was just flat. He's trying to make the argument that it's not a person, because if it's a person, then you can tell him, get out of my uterus. I swear to God, this is his argument. And if it's a good person, it'll leave. I was like, what? And then he told us that babies aren't actually people because people are responsible. We hold people responsible for stuff. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? See, I told you it's one of the dumbest things I've ever read. Speaking of dumbest things, fuck, we got to listen to cackles here. This is not a major news network, so we're going to get a lot more cackling than we. And I just want to apologize for that now. They've been telling her during her interviews, hey, don't cackle. Nobody likes that shit. But this is a more relaxed atmosphere. You can tell because they got alcohol there. And did you see her with my governor when she was drinking beer? Governor Whitmer and her sit down at this bar, with a whole bunch of cameras there, and then they pretend that they didn't know the cameras were there. But they drink this beer called Oberon beer. It's a beer made here in Michigan. I used to stock it at Walmart, and nobody bought it. But it's sold here, and since it's a local beer, people buy this shit. And so Kamala and Gretchen sit down for some beer, and Kamala takes the smallest little tiny sip out of this beer. It's a full glass of beer, and she goes, like, we know you drink more than that. Stop it. Oh, man. As soon as those cameras go off, she chugged that thing. Anyway, question is, what was it? What'd you think when you got that call, and where were you? Here we go.
I do. So I was home. It was a Sunday afternoon. And my niece, her husband, and their 2 young daughters were visiting and staying with us. And I promised the kids I'd have pancakes and bacon and everything.
Okay.
And then after that,
Is that important to the story? Jesus. I was home with the kids and cooking. That's all we needed. But she got to talk. This bitch loves to hear herself talk more than I like to hear myself talk.
I had a puzzle for the kids, and we were sitting down to do the puzzle.
Okay.
And the phone rang.
Okay.
And it was President Biden.
Were you making breakfast or were you doing a puzzle? Because you probably shouldn't leave eggs cooked. Eggs don't take that long to cook. Just saying.
And so that's when he told me. And it was obviously life-changing in so many ways, but
the phone call itself wasn't life-changing. You deciding to run was life-changing. I mean, we all knew it was going to. Okay, there were some people who honestly thought somebody else was going to run. Silly bitches. But obviously it was life-changing. I mean, it might have turned out to be. Dark Conservatarian, thank you. Hey, Monk, thanks for the assist on Twitter. I noticed my tweet on abortion was bookmarked. Did you do that? I did not, sir. I did not. And The only reason I even jumped in there is because you had quoted me and he was responding to that. And I was like, you're a fucking retard, dude. Anyhow, so she had this life-changing phone call from Joe.
But you know, I have to tell you, Shannon, I at that moment I knew what it would mean, but not in the detail of it, but I certainly understood the seriousness and the gravity of the moment.
She's trying to be deep and she's just not that deep. At that moment, I understood the deepness of this and the gravity and walking on. Just shut the fuck up. Ugh. I got a call from Biden and I was like, oh, wow, that was weird. I guess I'll run for president. That's all you got to say. Yeah, that is great. You're not wrong. That is a screenshot there. It looks like she's making fun of retarded people.
And actually, one of the first people I called was my pastor.
Wow. Okay. This is the part.
I knew I needed a moment to just be still.
And so you called somebody to just be still? The hell is she talking? One of the first people I called was my pastor. I thought the first person you called was your husband and you couldn't get a hold of him because he was probably out beating a woman. I mean, I'm assuming that's what he was doing. It's one of his hobbies.
And for my spirit and my mind to have clarity about the seriousness of the moment and my role.
Mm-hmm. That is where I pause and like, fuck it. If I'm going to watch this, we're watching it on stream. This is as far as I've gotten, guys. And I realized in that moment, it was a moment of a moment. And I needed a moment for the moment because it was a moment of a moment. Did I say it was a moment yet? Fuck, is she high? No, she's perpetually drunk. I am convinced.
And I'll never forget that call or that moment or that day.
Your life instantaneously changed in that moment.
Yes, it
because
did.
Now all of a sudden you weren't going to be running, you weren't going to be the VP anymore. You're going to be front and center.
Right.
Wait a second. She knew immediately that she was going to be front and center. She just said right. I paused that a little too soon there, but he said you knew you were going to be front and center. How did she know that the moment Biden told her he wasn't running? That's a thinker. I had to process the moment in a moment and talk to my pastor for spiritual moments and moments. You knew your life was changed because you're going to be at the front at that moment. Yes, at that moment I knew. Almost sounds like there was a planned coup. All she could have known at that moment, if this was a genuine story and not made up PR bullshit to make it sound like she's a family woman, the only thing she could have known in that moment was that Joe wasn't running again. Any normal person at this point would be like, oh, I really hadn't decided. I had to sit down and really think on it and ask myself, is this something that I want to do? And I prayed about it because she's trying to be spiritual. And I made the decision. Yes, I think this is what's best for the country. Now, yep, I knew I was running. Fuck off. Why can't this millionaire afford enough fabric for a suit that fits him? You will see this with any guy who's jacked. They all wear suits that are really tight for some reason. They can buy bigger suits. I guess it's to show off their muscles. And frankly, I blame them for the whole skinny jeans thing because notice he's wearing skinny pants with this. I blame bodybuilders and shit for that.
You knew what the undertaking, having been 4 years as the vice president, what that moment would mean.
I had a sense of it, like so many of us, when you this is your life, right? So
I had a sense of it, all those times you've run for president, Shannon Sharp. See, she just tried doing that thing she did to Brett Baer when he's like, you know what I'm talking about. And Brett was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But Shannon's being a good boy. He's like, yes, ma'am, I know what you mean. I'm not going to rock this boat. JB, thank you. Congrats on becoming a grandfather again. Random side tangent. But I'm going through a phase where I'm watching classic films. Think once I'm done with samurai, I'm going to do westerns and war movies like The Wild Bunch and The Sand Pebbles. Good stuff. I've seen The Wild Bunch, but it was a long, long time ago. MIT PM. Nope, it is always morning somewhere. Anyone suddenly want to play COD? At the very beginning of this, if you go over to Shannon's channel and watch this, there's a Call of Duty video or a commercial at the beginning of it that makes no sense whatsoever. It's some guy at a voting booth giving people stickers for voting, and it's just weird, but it's for Call of Duty 6, for Black Ops 6. I don't know what it had to do with anything. If you compare this interview's view count to Trump on Joe Rogan, it's absolutely pathetic. I think was it Megyn Kelly? Oh, Megyn Kelly pissed me off today. But I was watching her show and they were talking about they went and looked up the Call Her Daddy podcast. So Joe Rogan's got like 30 million views, and Kamala on Call Her Daddy got like 600,000. Question. Okay. So I was watching Megyn Kelly's show and they were talking about Trump's rally the other day. And Megyn really liked what Trump said. Oh, I love what Trump said. But all of the rest of it sucked. Why'd they got a dude bro out? Don't they know they're turning off women with this shit? Because even conservative women, their first thought is, but what about the feminist feelings? And then she brought on 3 pansy-ass motherfuckers from Real Clear Politics, who all 3 of them went full vagina. Went, yeah, I can't believe that they had all this maleness going on there. Don't they understand that women don't like this shit? Have y'all not been paying attention that men are sick of that shit? It's why Trump is doing so much better than Kamala and the Democrats with men. Because men are tired of that shit. Everything doesn't have to do with women, and you get a little upset over a fucking joke based on the news. Based on the fucking news. That Puerto Rican joke was based on the news articles that all of these news stations, I can't believe he said it was garbage. And so they don't like this rhetoric. Good God, it is so ingrained in our press. Left, right, center, doesn't matter. The feminist bullshit is so ingrained, they cannot get away from it. They can't get away from it. Real women are starved for real masculinity. Look, I'm not going to say they weren't going a little over the top with some of it, but nobody ever bitches about the over-the-top femininity bullshit. Let men be men once in a while. Women, if you don't like it, and you're going to not vote because a shock comedian said that there's garbage in Puerto Rico, all over the news, well, then don't vote for him. You're an idiot. I can't think of a single fucking woman who's like, I'm going to vote for Trump. Wait, he said Puerto Rico's full of garbage? Now I can't. I guess I'm going to vote for Kamala. Just get fucked with that shit. Anyway, I'm tired of it. Every fucking time. Name me any fucking female conservative and you can find video of her turning into a feminist at the drop of a fucking hat. And it's usually over some man saying something they didn't like. My boyfriend used to be like that. I know what that kind of guy's like. Get fucked. Anyway, I forgot what they were. Oh, she's explaining to Shannon how he knows what it's like to run for president. Let's take that back a moment so that we can get the full joy of this.
4 years as the vice president, what that moment would mean.
Mm-hmm. I had a sense of it, like so many of us, when you this is your life, right? So there are those moments where your instinct kicks in sometimes before your conscious mind and thoughts do.
Right.
And my instinct kicked in immediately that I need to focus and I need to do certain things immediately, which included making, I think we estimated I made over 100 calls that day. My team, and
she instinctively knew she had to call 100 people. Yeah, I remember reading about cavemen back in the day when they would instinctively call their friends. Does she know what instinct? Never mind. Cryptic, thank you. God has forsaken us because of camel turn up.
Incredible team all came in, and nobody expected, right? It was a Sunday afternoon.
Correct.
In fact, we actually
Most people expected it. Nobody there is no way that call came into her as a shock. There's no fucking way.
She joked who had taken a shower that day. Because, people came in their workout clothes,
Right.
Different people and, a bandana around their head, just,
Around their head? Yeah, Kamala, please stop going street. I realize you're talking to a black man who played in the NFL, has a majority, or at least a large black audience. Stop trying to be street. It just sounds stupid when you do it. They had bandana on their head. You're not one of us, honey. But she's already cackling. There's nothing funny about this. We joked about them needing a shower because they came in on a Sunday, and that's the only day people work out or don't bathe. I don't fucking know.
And came in, and we then, for hours and hours, well into the night.
Did you tell them?
For hours and hours, well into the night. What? I called them, and they came in for hours and hours into the night. For what? That's not the end of that sentence. There needs to be a what you did. Jesus. I don't know if I can watch this. All right. She's so goddamn dumb.
Did you tell them why you had summoned them to come to your place? Did you give them that news, or were you waiting for them to get there to share that news with them?
Well, so the news started to, as you can imagine, pretty much immediately. And, but of the many blessings that I have and have had, one of them is
wait.
an incredible.
So all these people already knew it, but you had to make 100 phone calls to let people know. All right. Sure. Why not?
Team of people around me. You know what that's like,
Yes.
where they're just there and they will rise to a moment.
Most of your team is new because you've had like 95% turnover since you got into office, lady. For those of you who don't know what turnover means, it means they've either quit or been fired, or, we're like, I'm just not showing up to work anymore. I got this really tight team of brand new people who all hate me.
And no matter how high that moment is, or meaning how serious it is, and what I love, and it's certainly my own work ethic, that there is no job too small or too big.
Y'all think she's vacuuming her office? Y'all think Kamala's washing the windows there at the Naval Observatory? I believe that no job is too big or too small. Bullshit. We've heard about you, lady. She is notoriously a bitch to work for. That's from her people, not me saying it. I didn't work for her, so I can't speak on it. But they're so desperate to change her image, which I don't blame them because she sucks. She's done some vacuum-like sucking in an office. That is true, Skep. That is 100% true.
If there's something that
actually, we don't know that that's true because for all we know, she really sucked at that too. Willie Brown has never talked about how good the trim was. It's daytime hours where I live, so I'm going to use nicer words.
Needs to get done.
So although you have a huge role now, what's a typical day like for you now once you've been thrust into this? What time are you normally getting to bed? What time are you getting up? And what's some of the activities that you do in a given day?
I'd probably estimate 14-hour, 15-hour days.
Okay.
You're sleeping 9 hours a night in a presidential campaign? Are you for real? If you're sleeping, or if you're working, you have 15-hour days. That's what she said, 15 hours. That leaves 9 hours at sleep. Most people on a normal schedule sleep 8 hours. Most people in a presidential campaign are lucky to get 6. 4 is more accurate. And it's busted up. It is not in one big chunk. It's flying on the plane to the next city. And this bitch is getting her beauty. No wonder she's doing so badly.
When I wake up, no matter how little sleep or how much sleep I've had, I work out every morning.
Okay.
Because
Yes,
it's like mind, body, and spirit, right? And
is that going to be the whole? Okay, for those of you who've seen it, does she do this all the time? Throughout this thing, does she just keep saying, trying to relate herself to an NFL player? All right. The line about having a good team around you, that is something an NFL player would know. But he doesn't know about her wake up and never mind.
And then, and that's the only time of my day I really own. And then it is these days it's not unusual for me to be in 3 or even 4 cities in one day.
Not 3 or 4 cities in one day. How do you manage to get that 9 hours sleep in 3? You do realize that every time you leave a city, you're basically still entering one, right? Okay. Guys, in a presidential campaign, 3 or 4 cities is not that much. Oh, hang on a second. I got a Snapchat from my beautiful wife, and she's still down with my little one. So I don't know if this has talking in it. So I'm going to mute for just a second. Here, I'll let you listen to this crazy bitch while I go.
Alleys with thousands of people, 10,000 people showing up, making calls to folks. Just now I landed in Atlanta, the mayor of Atlanta, who greets me every single time. So I'll talk with elected leaders who are supportive about, so for example, here in Atlanta,
all right,
what do we need?
That was video of the baby sleeping. She's so cute. Anyhow, let's bag this up.
And then it is these days it's not unusual for me to be in 3 or even 4 cities in one day. Rallies with thousands of people, 10,000 people.
Oh, stop. You get 10,000 people show up when you say Beyonce is going to sing, and you lied to them, you lazy bitch. You could not pack a middle school gym without one of your big celebrity friends showing up to get you an. And we saw this early on. It's why suddenly like, quick, get the stars
showing up, making calls to folks. Just now I landed in Atlanta, the mayor of Atlanta, who greets me every single time. So I'll talk with elected leaders who are supportive about, so for example, here in Atlanta, what do we need to do to make sure that we're giving folks the resources to knock on doors and remind folks of the.
She campaigns, and not even very well. From what she's described here, she's not even campaigning very well. Go back and read Primary Colors, which is based on the Clinton run in 92. These guys don't get sleep. It costs money to knock on doors. Yes, because a lot of door knockers are paid. They pay different groups to go out there and do it for them.
Power of their voice. And 12 days in, it really is a lot about trying to focus on getting folks to know their power, to not let anybody suppress.
Wait, didn't this just come out? October 28th. And she said 12 days in. The bitch can't even add. Well, maybe this was filmed a week and a half ago. I don't know. All right. Sorry, she just caught me off guard with that.
Or silence their voice and to vote.
Right. So breakfast. What does Madam VP eat for breakfast, or do you have time to, or is it on the go?
No, breakfast? When I was younger, I didn't think I needed breakfast. I wasn't a breakfast eater.
Okay.
Now I have breakfast every morning. It's usually a spinach omelet. It's not very exciting.
Right.
But it's
Why is that funny? It was released a few days after being recorded. I mean, even then, how many days? 12 days was what? Last Thursday. All right.
Protein with a little vegetable. And I like chicken and apple sausage and some toast, and then I'm gone.
Madam VP, you're a couple of years older than myself, so we kind of
Thank
grew up
you.
in the 80s. But I'm only 35.
Come on now, I'm your guest.
No, but you only 30. But we grew up.
But just keep moving, because I'm gonna give you a shovel in a minute.
I see. You won't let it go. Dang.
You guys ever heard the phrase "trying too hard"? F, thank you so much. When she gets blown out and it doesn't help her career this time, what do you think she'll do? If Kamala loses, I think she'll basically go on a speaking tour. Breakfast, hard-hitting questions here. Look, I'm not opposed to an interview. I mean, there weren't hard-hitting questions really in the Joe Rogan one. You can have interesting conversations, but what Shannon, she is arguably older than him. I mean, objectively older than him. She's like almost 60. But yeah, she'll go on a speaking tour. She'll have a book deal. After that, she might go on and get herself a talk show somewhere. She's young enough to still pull that off and needs the attention, but I don't know if she would lower herself to that, because she sees herself as higher than that. So yeah, a whole bunch of people that owe her money will pay her a bunch of money to go talk to people who don't want to listen to her. That's all. Hey, son of a bitch bastard, you're welcome here, but don't spam the chat, dude. Keep doing that shit, and we will time you out, because go be an asshole in somebody else's chat.
We could have just moved on past that real quick, but you drew attention to it. But we grew up in the 70s with music.
That's how
Yes.
When if our Ohio players.
Oh yes, fire! Come on.
Oh, you were like fire.
Come on.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. What do you listen to now?
Oh,
Don't answer that, Kamala, because she's going to tell us she listened to somebody who won't exist for another 10 years. Does anybody believe that she's going to actually answer this honestly?
No, I wish I were listening to more music, to be honest with you, because I love it. Just but
You don't
when
have downtime, like when you have downtime?
I don't have any downtime really. I know my little violin I'm playing right now with you.
You have breakfast, you work out, you're working out every day, and you don't listen to any music. All right, sure.
I really don't. But when I love jazz.
Mm-hmm.
If it's from Thelonious Monk to Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm. I like Thelonious Monk too, okay? But if you're going to sit, I would never try to say that like jazz is my jam and throw out Thelonious Monk. I mean, that is such a cliched answer, for fuck's sake. Sorry, I'm waiting for a donation to pop. There it is. Thank you, Lancelot. Little John, Eminem, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, the Obamas, Megan Thee Stallion. The only reason people show up is for the celebrities. That is true. Remember, she had Lizzo, Usher, Stevie Wonder. Yeah, nobody's showing up for her ass. Don't name the obvious one. Exactly.
I love Aretha. I was just with Stevie.
Right.
Stevie's, can I tell you?
Yes, you can.
Bucket list. Stevie Wonder on my birthday sang me happy birthday. Can you believe
Happy birthday.
That was on your bucket list? That is a life moment, Stevie Wonder singing to you on your birthday. But does anybody actually go, before I die, I need Stevie Wonder to sing to me on my birthday? Because that's what a bucket list is, you fucking retard. Why is this woman so stupid? And why is she in really good contention for the presidency of the United States? By the way, that last donation from Lancelot, thank you for that. Feminist $12. I missed the amount there. But thank you. And JB, thank you. Oh, I have a couple of these. No, I got that one already. I hope Kamala doesn't win, but the amount of states that don't require ID to vote has me concerned. In Canada, when you vote, they have your name and address on a list, and they cross you off once you voted. And most importantly, you need ID. It is scary. There is no good reason not to require ID. Here in Michigan, we do, or at least they ask for it. There was a map that came out the other day that showed the places you have to have ID and the ones where they'll ask for ID. I don't know what the difference is between those two, but they had a separation. I've always had to give my ID to vote. The states that don't, I do think they're clearly trying to cheat. Whether it can ever be proven or not, that's a whole nother thing. Notice she's not trying to relate to the kids anymore. When she went on Breakfast Club and like, what were you listening to back in college while you were smoking the ganja? I was listening to Tupac and Snoop. She tried to relate to the kids. Now how many kids out there even know who Thelonious Monk is? And as much as I love Stevie Wonder, he's not exactly hip with the kids anymore. I've watched people, you guys know I love my music reaction channels, and black kids watching this stuff are like, I should know who that is. Who is that guy? I've seen him do it with Stevie and with Gladys Knight. It was funny as shit. Way to reach out to those kids. She doesn't need to reach out to the kids because she had Walls playing Madden on Twitch the other day with AOC. A fucking train wreck that was. And Tim Walls suggested they were going to make AOC the Speaker of the House. I wonder what Jeffries thinks of that. I wonder if anybody asked Jeffries. Did anybody ask Jeffries, hey, what do you think of the vice presidential nominee saying they're going to make AOC the speaker? You put in your time and stuff, but she occasionally plays on Twitch and she died a whole bunch on January 6th. It's her turn. Oh, God. Thank you, Sin Nikki. Kamala is the definition of being shoehorned in 200 plus million votes and she'll win. Look, guys, she really could still win. I don't think she's going to, not with everything I've seen so far, but she could still win.
Hey, to me.
Oh my!
Can you imagine?
No.
I was literally, it was surreal. Can you, a bucket list moment
Right.
when Stevie Wonder himself sings you happy birthday?
As an 18-year-old,
Yeah.
could you imagine
Never.
your life would have been like this?
Never.
This many years
Never.
later?
And let me tell you, my mother loved
It was 12 years later that she got in her head, if I sleep around, I can get ahead in life. We don't know how slutty she was at 18. Just saying. What was that about the controller with Madden? I saw someone point out that the Madden thing, the controller was not turned on. If you're on Twitter, send me that if you know where it's at, because I didn't watch the whole thing. I've seen clips of it, and I didn't watch when they were supposedly playing Madden. I saw when AOC asked him if he played other games, and he loaded up some shitty racing game that he sucked at.
She had every Stevie and every Aretha Franklin record, every album, like literally every one of them. So songs in the key.
Okay, I don't mean to doubt you that your Indian mom had everything from Stevie and Aretha, but I'm going to X to doubt on that. I'm just saying. I do not believe your mom had that stuff.
Like all those Stevie songs that were about everything from the movement to optimism. I would have never at 18 thought that he'd be singing me happy birthday ever.
I know Donald Trump gets off on his random tangents and stuff, but she's almost Biden-esque. I mean, that was almost and then I learned what roaches are moment. She couldn't even actually name what the Stevie Wonder songs were about. And she just say it was cool that Stevie sang to you because you're just proving you're a liar here.
Never.
That's the least. I mean, but obviously everybody knows who Stevie is. He was a child prodigy, 13 years old, and he was doing great things. But to see, Madam VP, what you've been able to do, you've had so many firsts. the first attorney general, woman attorney general,
Yeah.
African American.
She's had many firsts. She's got several holes. Sorry, that's a cheap joke. I'm not wrong though. You've had many firsts. You sucked your way into. I don't know what his question's going to be here, but I guarantee it's going to piss me off because being the first woman vice president doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
American, Asian American descent.
Mhm.
You was the DA of San Francisco. You were the first Indian American U.S. senator.
And second Black woman ever in the history of the United States Senate elected. Second in the history of the United States Senate.
That's how, once again, like with Obama, Democrats prove how racist they are. That when the second Black woman ever is half Black at best. Fuck. Sure, why not? Why not?
Have you had an opportunity to sit back and reflect and it's like, wow, but work is not yet done?
That's more where I am.
Thank you, Tyrai. He just called her an African American. Yes, he did, which she's not. She is 100% not an African American. She's a Jamaican American, an Indian American. If you're going to use hyphenated Americanism. Kamala does nothing but sit back and pat herself on the back for being first. She's not smart enough to do anything else. Reflect, Kamala, come on. Well, in the sense, Skeptalk, that she's like, aren't I the greatest? Look at all I've accomplished by sucking a wiener. Then, yeah, I have no doubt that she spends most of her time fluffing herself. Because her husband's not going to. He's more likely to smack her than fluff her.
And the work is not done. The work is not yet done. There's so much to do. I mean, to your point, being in the Senate, so there is a weight of responsibility that I know we all feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we have been blessed with an experience that allows us to be a role model.
Great.
And
you slept with a 60-year-old married man to get ahead in life. You're not a role model. Just achieving power through whorishness is not something anybody should aspire to. What are you? Who are you a role model for? OnlyFans stars? One day I want to suck a dick and become a prosecutor. Jesus Christ. This is going to be hard to watch because it's not a serious interview. And he's just going to let her say ridiculous shit.
To hopefully inspire people and to remind them of what's important or point out the things that need to be addressed. So, for example, as only the second Black woman elected to the United States Senate, I took on a real role of leadership around Black maternal mortality.
Sure. But there were Black men in the Senate, right? Are you suggesting that the Black men in the Senate were just like, nah, let our moms die? Fuck. First, I took on the leadership of this thing. It's mostly because people won't follow doctor's orders.
Which affects Black women and affects their spouses, their husbands, their families, their children. And I feel a sense of responsibility and a very strong duty to make sure that I use my voice and in a way that is about lifting up people who have not always been in the room.
Oh God, it's another ad. I can tell because this is a guy from the other Call of Duty ad. Plus it says mature 17 on it. Let's just skip it. That is creepy. Man, she really thinks highly of herself, doesn't she? I know Trump does too. Nobody's going to say that guy's not 100% arrogant as fuck. But at least he's like accomplished some shit. She was in the Senate for 4 years. She didn't even serve a full term. And she was like, I'm running for president. God damn.
18-year-old self. What would you tell her?
If I could speak to my 18-year-old self, I would probably tell her, continue.
I don't answer hypotheticals. Isn't this where that would fit? She says that to serious questions, but this one, which is nothing but hypothetical, you literally can't talk to your 18-year-old self. Suddenly she got an answer for this, which I'm telling you, I'm dying to hear her sage advice she would give herself. Thank you, Sin Nikki. Kamala ain't black. The blackest thing about her was Willie. That is, we don't know that for a fact. We don't know who else she banged. She might have banged some dude from Nigeria or something. And typically, or like Sierra Leone, somewhere where they have much darker skin. I mean, he's definitely one of the blackest things that's been part of her.
Probably tell her, continue to keep your friends. You know,
all right. When you're looking, fuck, she can't even answer this question right. The question about what would you tell yourself is meant to be like you've learned something, so you want to impart that wisdom on your younger self. And she's saying, I would tell me to just do what I do with my old friends, that I continue to keep your friends. And she's about to get ready to go into, I guarantee this is going to be about her kindergarten best friend. And if you haven't seen the video of her meeting with her kindergarten best friend, you got to watch it. It is so cringy. It's like these people have never met before, but totally that is her childhood best friend since kindergarten.
best friend from kindergarten is
God damn it. I knew it. I knew it. Oh, you're so predictable.
still one of my best friends.
What?
Yes.
Y'all made it to the first grade as best friends?
Yes. In fact, she's been out knocking on doors in North Carolina just this last week for me.
Wow.
I would.
Her advice to herself is be as awesome as we already are. Jesus fuck. How can she not answer any of these kind of questions? What mistakes have you made? I mean, I think it's a mistake not to do all the reading, which I do. So, what are your flaws? Some people might think it's a flaw, but I don't. Why is she so bad at these? Whiskey Silverball, thank you so much. At 18, all of her friends were in Canada where she grew up. Was she still in Canada at 18? She was sleeping around at 18, so she can't be honest. Yeah, we don't know what married men she was with at 18.
Would say, hold on to that, which is your friends are so important. Your family is so important.
Do you see what she's doing here? I am so great that even if I had the chance to give myself advice, I would tell her, just be you, because you're awesome. I've made jokes before about me not being conceited, but we've watched several people lately that made me realize I'm not that bad. Dear fuck. If I could talk to my 18-year-old self, I'd say, rock on, sister. You're the bomb.
Probably encourage myself at 18 to remember that you have a lot of people who are supporting you, even if they don't know you. That's what I meant.
At 18, you had a lot of people supporting you that didn't know you. Really? Yeah. You weren't running for office at 18. Jesus fuck. She finally starts to get close to an answer and she fucks up that. How is this woman so stupid? I would tell myself at 18 that everybody loves you. She's even conceited in that shit. Fuck me. Oh. All right. people that you don't, they're all supporting you because you're the most awesome thing. Awesome.
For a lot of people, Shannon. So
Yes.
this is what I'm really reflecting on,
Mhm.
which is what I tell the young people I mentor, including
You're telling young people that millions of people support them even though they've never met them. It's a weird thing to say to kids, woman.
to know that even when you are in that room and you're the only one who looks like you or who has had your life experience, to know you are not alone in that room, and that you must therefore walk in that room, chin up, shoulders back, knowing we're all there applauding you.
But that's not true for everybody. That's a mean thing to tell kids. Because the truth is, some people aren't applauding you. Some are rooting for your failure, and you need to tell them to get fucked. Ignore them. That's real advice. Ignore the haters. Not everybody loves you, even if you, they call you poo-poo head every time you come into. They still love you. They're supporting you. Jesus fuck, she's stupid. Monk was RFK on the Michigan ballot. Honestly, I don't know. I found Trump's name and filled in the box next to him.
When I mentor young women and men, I remind them that you are often going to be told, well, it's not your time, not your turn.
Mm-hmm.
You're too young. Nobody like you has done this before. And I tell them, don't you ever listen to that.
I need you to square this circle for me, sweetie. How do you tell them both that everybody's rooting for them, and when they're told no, to ignore the people that aren't rooting for them? She's just giving slogans here. Seriously, this is like hippie friends that I have on Facebook, and they post stupid ass things that make no sense when you actually look into it. She reminds them to cup the balls. I mean, at least that'd be something she has some experience with, Kyle. Shannon daydreaming already. Him and me both, man. God bless, man. How do you give a contradictory answer to that? I don't think even drunk I would be this incoherent in my answers. She's using all words. I mean, these she's not slurring like Biden or anything, but it's incomprehensible. It's just nonsense. It's talking for the sake of talking.
I like to say I eat no for breakfast. I don't hear.
Maybe you should have listened to no when you're like, should I sleep with that old married guy?
No. You ask me what I eat for breakfast? I eat no for breakfast. I don't hear it. And that's part of what are my.
So if you want to have sex and Doug says no, just let that hang there.
My life lessons that I try to share with young people, man, to remind them that
it's the implication.
You cannot ever be burdened by other people's limited ability to understand who you are. Like,
in fairness, Kamala, we don't understand who you are because we listen to you. Monk, are you following the duty sex debate on Twitter? No.
Don't let their limited ability burden you.
Right. She has never let her limited ability burden her. That much is clear. Duty sex, do we dare ask? Just based on the wording there, I'm guessing whether or not a partner has a duty to give up sex.
About your own ability,
Madam VP, you were raised by a single mom. What did that experience tell you about your mom, and what did it tell you about you?
I wish I'd watched this in advance and cut clips because I don't even care what her answer is to this, if I'm being honest. I get this is a humanizing moment for her, and I'm sure she'll fuck it up. But I really don't care. Notice it wasn't a single black mom. Yeah, no. It was her Indian mom listening to Stevie Wonder.
Well, it told me that one of the things that is precious is to build community and family.
Okay.
Being a single mom taught her it's important to build family. Huh. She's not the husband part of it.
Like my mother, she understood that there is a community that she wanted her children to be raised in.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very intentional and purposeful about that. And so I always say
that's why she lived in a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood, you know, her middle class upbringing and all.
to people, even when I took the stage as the nominee for the Democratic nomination, that, you know, there is the family that you have by birth, and there is also the family you have by love.
That's called your friends, honey.
And they're equally family,
Yes.
right? And I learned that
not.
from my mother.
Try getting a kidney from one of them.
So my mother, I had all these aunties and uncles. My Uncle Sherman, who was...
I have no doubt your single mom introduced you to a lot of uncles. It would explain so much about your getting ahead in life. I believe you 100% that you had uncles over all the time. None of them were related, of course. No, because that would be weird. That'd make you Ilhan Omar.
Was one of the first Black men to graduate from Berkeley School of Law, who, when we were young girls, sat us down and taught us how to play chess, because Uncle Sherman said, you need to understand how the chessboard works, because that's the way the world works. They're going to be...
I want to play chess with Kamala now. I'm okay at chess. I'm no grandmaster or anything, and I haven't played in years, but I would love to play chess with this woman. I bet you I could do the thing where I can beat her in 3 moves.
Be different players with different moves, mm-hmm. and you need to see the whole board. Mm-hmm. My mother raised us around, like my Auntie Chris, who went to Howard in the 50s and pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha. And she was one of my incredible role models growing up. And that was one.
Remember, the question is, what did being raised by a single mom teach you about your mom and you? And now she's talking about her auntie going to Howard. FTW Nil, thank you so much. So basically, if your coworker gets onto you, it's not that you're doing a bad job. It's them and their burden that doesn't understand you. Yes. Everything wrong with you is something wrong with someone else. Sadly, my coworker would eat this up. Look, there's a lot of people that listen to this nonsense from this idiot and are like, she's so smart. And in fairness to them, honestly, I am not tooting my own horn here. I am a almost obsessively logical person when it comes to speaking or listening to people speak. And finding the holes in there, because like earlier when she was giving us that nonsense hippie bullshit answer about everybody supports you, also anybody who doesn't, tell them to go fuck themselves. Most people would listen to that and be, oh, she's so inspirational, instead of paying attention to the contradiction that she just made. So I mean, it's what political rhetoric is for. It's to easily confuse people and people who aren't really paying all that much attention. Believe me, this is purposeful. She knows how you're supposed to be a politician. She's just really bad at it.
One of the big reasons I wanted to go to Howard University and pledge Alpha Kappa Alpha, those are some of the lessons that I've learned from my mother. And I try to also share with people, right? Which is the beauty of community. And
she literally does the Biden thing here. That's what we were just listening to, because Biden has to tell a personal story with everything. It's an old political trick. But at least Biden will make up a lie that fits the fucking story, right? Monk is like Spock if Spock had a wife. I'm not quite that bad. There are people who are even more anal about it than I am. But it is actually kind of a pain in the ass, because even people I like, when they say something stupid, I can't help it.
It's the way I am, right? Which is, you know, the children in my life, whether they be my own or...
You don't have any children. Stop it.
You know, my godchildren or whomever, right? That it's a collective responsibility that we have.
Did
You guys have seen all those pictures of Kamala hanging out with her family, doing Christmas stuff, and she's always got the kids around and stuff. You've seen those, right? Oh, wait, no. She all about the kids that you ain't never seen this bitch with. Fuck off. Who falls for this?
did you know you were different? I mean, were there a lot of people in the community that looked like you and like your mom, or did your mom tell you were different?
Well, my mom.
Who sits their kids down like you're different? Shannon, look, I like when you talk sports, dude. I really do. I often find myself agreeing with you, even though you were a Bronco. But dear God, you shouldn't have done this. This is so bad. All right. Did your mom tell you you were different? No, the doctors did.
Mother taught us to, and everyone in my growing up, you know, they would tell all of us kids that we were special.
Okay.
I don't think we were particularly special.
Telling a child they're special is different than telling them they're different. What Shannon was getting at there is, did your mom sit you down and explain to you that honkies aren't going to like you? That's basically the question. And she comes back with, Mom said we were special. Yeah, we know. I bet she still has your drool bib from when you were 8.
Right.
But they told us we were, and we believed them.
Yes.
We believed them.
This right here is why you don't tell your children they're special. You give them, you're not mean to them. Just be honest with them. You're all right. Fuck. We owe Kamala to her mom lying to her about how special she is. Mom tried to break it gently that she's a tard. Yes, exactly. Mom said we were special. Yeah, I have no doubt.
I think that's such an important part of what we can all do for the children and the children in our lives.
No. You need to be more honest with kids. This nonsense is why you got people out there telling little boys that they can turn into girls. Dangerous, thank you. So Kamala is essentially telling us she will not take no for an answer. Can't for the life of me figure out why she's gone through 95% of her staff. That sounds like petty shit work, a pretty shit workplace. Yeah. She's not known for being a good boss. But that's why she threw in that line earlier about there's no job too small for me. Bullshit. You're a liar. You're full of shit. Anyway, that's like saying my least disappointing mistake to your kids. Yeah. All right.
And
this is bad.
but my mother raised 2 Black girls to be proud Black women.
Who are they? What Black girls did your mom raise? I'd like to meet them.
Back to music. One of the soundtracks from my childhood was, You Are Young, Gifted, and Black.
Bullshit.
And that's what it was.
Bullshit. Oh, shit. We have another ad. Da-da, da-da-da.
Yes.
How did you cope with that loss?
Grief is difficult.
Oh, it's talking about her mom dying right now. That's the loss that he just mentioned. We skipped ahead a bit because of the commercial, but this... I'm sorry. Did she say grief is difficult?
Grief is difficult.
Oh, God damn it. Grief is difficult, y'all. Wise words from Kamala Harris. Grief is difficult. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Hopefully this gets deeper than that answer.
It's difficult. There are 2 sides to the coin about when you have relationships in your life that touch you deeply, and then to lose that person, it leaves a big void, right?
That's not 2 sides of a coin, you silly bitch.
The 2 sides.
I hate her.
And I think that part of what I was just talking about this, but the big part about grief is, especially if you lose somebody to a sickness, to an illness, I think it's really important that you try to remember them as they lived and not as they died.
Right.
This is a greeting card. I think you should remember them when they were all shriveled up and dying. Fuck. All right. I'm sorry. I have trouble listening to this kind of shit from people. Like, this is a woman who got to be, what, in her 50s when her mom died. I don't want to hear about how hard it was for her. You got to know your mom most of your adulthood. Kiss my whole ass. And if you are going to talk about it, at least don't just repeat platitudes you've heard elsewhere.
Because I think that's how they'd want us to remember them, but also to remember their suffering, which hopefully was a fraction of their time on this earth, is to
remember them as they were, but remember their suffering too. Jesus Christ, lady. This woman is a contradiction. She's just a walking contradiction. This is fucking painful.
compound the grief in a way that I think it adds to the pain. And what they'd want is that their active memory, that our active memory of them is about when they were vibrant and alive. So
let's get into.
Yeah, I read that poster too. They made me go to a psychiatrist when my mom died. It was hanging on the wall. Good job.
Things that will change what will happen if you were to become president, say in the next 12 to 13 days. Poll suggests that voters trust President Trump, former President Trump, more on the economy.
Oh shit, Shannon's trying to get real. I don't know how to take this part. Shannon, as much as I'm hating it, stick to the fluff questions. She can't answer these. She has dodged this question 13 times at least. Maybe being with a strong black man, she'll answer it this time.
What can you tell the voters, our viewing audience, our listening audience, that if you were to become president, wow, Madam VP Kamala Harris will be much better on the economy than what President Trump was?
well, so I'm really glad.
Fuck, he set her up for her answer. All right, when she says Nobel laureates, everybody take a drink.
As you brought that up, Shannon. So first of all, let's clear up certain myths.
Okay.
You know those checks that went out?
Yes, those stimmies.
Right. Right.
The stimulus check.
Yeah, I know. Well, right. Yes. Yes.
We got to be for stimulus, but they call them stimmies. Okay.
The reason those came about is because there was a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives and Congress. People like Maxine Waters.
Stop. Those things came about originally from Trump. Remember, you guys got mad because he wanted his name on the check? That's where the first stimmies came from. And then Joe Biden. Remember when Joe Biden gave people less money than he said he was? And then they were like, no, we'll give you all of it. Apparently she's gonna let us know that no, it was her and Biden that gave the stimmies out. Pouring my drink now. Get ready for it. I promise you that we're going to hear it. I, again, haven't watched this. I've just seen enough of Kamala. Circus, thank you. If she wins, does that make Doug the first wife beater or the first woman beater? Yes. Anyway, she's going to tell us about the stimmies.
It's people like Hakeem Jeffries, right?
Yes.
Who did the work of pushing to say, people need help right now, and we need to send out checks. There was a whole lot of opposition to it.
Well, there was opposition to it because we didn't have the money for it, and that's what shot up the deficit to ridiculous levels in 2020.
Including from Donald Trump's White House.
Yes, even him. I think he was resistant to it at first.
Yes.
Okay, I need somebody to fact check that for me. Trump being against stimulus. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I do not remember that. So I would need to have some proof on that.
That's why those checks, remember, Congress holds the purse.
Yes.
So really, Congress wrote those checks. But then Donald Trump, unlike any president before or after, decided he put his name on those checks.
So therefore, people thought.
So people thought.
Hey, Kamala, when Congress, passes a law like that, which, by the way, the House has the purse, it still has to be voted on by the Senate. And then what is the final step? Final step to a bill becoming a law? Fuck, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, the president has to sign it, you silly bitch.
Thought Donald Trump, they gave me that check.
Oh,
and so let's clear that up first and foremost.
Okay.
But let's also deal with where he.
That's why she's bringing this up when she never has in any of the other interviews when she's been asked about this. This is for a black audience because black people said Trump gave me that money, and she like, he didn't give you that money. Hakeem Jeffries, who was not the speaker at the time, he did all that shit. She doesn't even give Nancy Pelosi credit. Ooh, if you're going to give anyone in the House credit for that, it should be Pelosi. Fuck.
Was in terms of his policies on the economy. He gave the biggest tax cuts for billionaires and the biggest corporations.
He gave across the board tax cuts. They got a bigger tax cut. I'm using air quotes because they pay the most money, you silly bitch. If you pay $100 and I pay 10 and we both get a 10% cut, you're getting to keep a lot more overall money than me. We got the same tax cut.
Which caused an incredible deficit. He tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which we also call Obama.
Wait a second. Are you really talking about causing an enormous deficit and then bitching that Trump was trying to get rid of the ACA? That thing that caused massive deficits? Sure, why not? She's a fucking contradiction, man.
Obamacare, which benefited so many people, including and in particular black.
No. I'm not going to let you get away with that. It benefited insurance companies. The end. That's who benefited from the ACA. And it was because you guys forced them to take all people, no matter what their health conditions were. They had to make up that money. And so you gave them a blank check, basically. Thank you. This is Kyle from Reuters. Trump threatens not to sign COVID-19 bill, wants bigger stimulus check. Didn't read past the headline. So wait, his opposition to it wasn't big enough? And this woman has the balls to say that Trump was against the stimulus? Fuck her. Okay, sure, why not? And what'd you say that was from the AP? So definitely not even like a pro-Trump group. Sorry, Reuters, even worse. Definitely not pro-Trump. Poor people were already covered by other programs. True. Both state and federal programs already covered poor people when ACA was passed. ACA was never about getting poor people insurance. That is a goddamn lie that they've been telling since it passed. When they were still trying to pass it, they were honest about the 42 million Americans that didn't have health insurance and who they were. They weren't poor people. They were 20 to 40-year-olds who made the decision not to get it. They could have got it. And they were like, nah, I'd rather have my money because I probably won't need health insurance anytime soon. Which, by the way, is not necessarily the right way to be, but it was their choice. And we forced them to go get insurance.
Here, which benefited so many people, including and in particular Black people in America who otherwise were denied by the insurance companies health coverage because of pre-existing conditions.
Yes, that's most important. Let the people know.
Right?
With affordable.
You could have passed something that said they had to cover pre-existing conditions. You could have done that without forcing insurance onto everybody. I mean, they couldn't because there wouldn't have been a way to pay for it and for them to pretend that, it's not just the taxpayer doing it. But they love that line. How about this? How about you just do that part? How about you just do the pre-existing condition thing and get rid of all the other ACA shit? Part of ACA, and this is true, you can look it up, gave the gives the president and specifically his different departments the ability to set the rules for what insurance has to cover. Gay men were being forced to get pregnancy coverage. Y'all know that, right? that because the Obama White House mandated that pregnancy has to be covered on all insurance policies, gay men were having to pay for pregnancies. They needed that pregnancy insurance for all that butt babies that they have.
Care Act, if you have a pre-existing condition, insurance companies can no longer deny you coverage.
That's exactly right. And if you think about what that means,
that meant everybody's premiums went up. That's what it meant. You could do something like, I mean, do you guys know that there are places around the country where you can't get home insurance? Do you guys know that? There are parts of the country that are so devastated from natural disasters on such a regular basis that no insurance company will cover them. You know who covers them? You do. It's a federal program.
In the context of also knowing the big health disparities we have in the Black community,
Right.
and how more likely, therefore, Black folks might be to have pre-existing conditions,
Blood pressure, diabetes,
all of
certain
that,
cancers,
all of that.
Yes.
Asthma for our children.
You're not suggesting the races are different, are you?
Yes. Sickle cell trait.
It's all of that. So by getting rid of the pre-existing condition ban, what that did, but he wanted to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
What we have done, and part of my policies going forward include what we need to do to not only retain the cap that we got on insulin at $35 a month for seniors.
Okay, let's just be honest about what she wants, because she's raised her hand on this shit. It's on record. She wants single payer healthcare. And if you don't know what that is, single payer is basically the British or the Canadian system. Everybody's healthcare is covered by the federal government, and good luck to you, because your doctors won't give a shit and you'll be on waiting lists. It's a bad fucking plan, and that's what she really wants. Obamacare was, okay, you guys want the real skinny on what Obamacare was about? Obamacare was about fucking up our system so bad that the people demanded single-payer healthcare. That's what it was for. Crimgate, thank you so much. I put in the hashtag MITAM Twitter, but Europeans and Canadians are registered to vote for Trump. I'm not shocked. I wish I was. If you know any of them, tell them that they need to leave the country, because it is illegal to register, and they'll make examples out of a few people each year, but that's it. Yeah, Obamacare was all about destroying the American system to make it so people demanded a single payer. That's what it was. Make it so expensive and so burdensome that, hey, just give me the free shit. This is too expensive. Give me the free shit.
By the way, Black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes.
Correct.
He wants to get rid of it with that Project 2025. Everybody needs to check that out. What he would do to get rid of Social Security, or at least raise the age to 70. So you'd have to work to 70 till.
They want to raise the age to 70 because Social Security is running out of money. Nobody's willing to pay more into their Social Security, into their FICA taxes. When Social Security was passed, the life expectancy was much lower, and people were on it a lot less. As the life expectancy has gone up, this is how insurance works, because fundamentally Social Security is supposed to be an insurance program that you pay into. And then as you're getting older and getting close to dying, it's going to cover you in those last couple of years. And now you got people living to be a fucking 100. It's not sustainable. So what we're being like, you're going to have to work longer to get this stuff. Rowan, thank you. Wait, but Monk, you just aren't hearing her. I know. If I would just listen to what she says, I would totally be on her side. Diabetes is an outcome when your Kool-Aid is 99% sugar. Don't you be knocking black Kool-Aid, man. I love that shit. I grew up on that shit. No, I mean, there are differences in the human bodies and in the different races, it's not the IQ thing that Fuentes is talking about, but there are things where certain races are more susceptible to certain things. No, we're all exactly the same. No, we're not. Unless they want to talk about how, Trump hates black people and wants them all to die of sickle cell. What a fucking asshole.
to be able to qualify,
Right.
get rid of Medicare, get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And that's just on
Donald Trump wants to get rid of Medicare? I must have missed a headline.
health policy, not to mention bringing back not only tax cuts for the richest
Those
people,
tax cuts are
but what
still
he
in
would
place.
do that is about eliminating or reducing the ability of corporations to be required to pay overtime pay
So you could work and the corporations wouldn't have to pay you for it.
for overtime.
Who worked?
No. God damn it. She's such a fucking liar. The overtime thing is about people who are on salary, and different states were like, even though they're salaried workers, you have to give them overtime if they work, if their pay comes out to be X amount, blah, 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 and they end up doing 50 hours of work. The reason you paid people salaries is because sometimes it's just easier than trying to get people to come in to work overtime. She is just fucking lying right now. This is all about the way that they've tried to get around people being salary, and typically salary is a better way to go than being on an hourly wage. It is a more steady income. But then they were like, no, you got to give me even more money. This is fucking retarded. This is just lies. He's going to take away overtime. Fuck you. By the way, Donald Trump doesn't have the power to take away overtime. You know who has that power? The company you work for. Even if Donald Trump took out all of the federal overtime rules, they're still state rules, first of all. It's where most of them come from. And beyond that, your boss can still pay you overtime. It would be a fringe benefit kind of thing. Oh, God, she's such a liar.
For free.
That's right.
No,
And
not for free.
overtime means you are actually working a longer day, which means you are more tired,
Right.
which means
Not
it requires more
tired.
exertion. That's why we have overtime pay. So you don't.
We have overtime pay so you don't get exhausted. Sure, that makes sense. I was really tired, and then they told me I had overtime, and I was wide awake. I stepped on her there. Maybe she's going to say something that's not as dumb as it was sounding.
Are more tired,
Right.
which means it requires more exertion. That's why we have overtime pay. So you don't take advantage of workers.
Are they getting paid still? Whatever. You're taking advantage of workers by paying them what you promised to pay them.
In addition to all of that, we're looking at Donald Trump, basically somebody who has never been understanding of the issues that affect the community about disparities. And I'm going to talk, for example, about how when he was a landlord, he denied rent to Black families.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. No, he didn't deny rent to Black families. He denied renting units to Black families. And that was way back in the 70s, and that has all been settled. And you're going to try to bring up race. You do know since then he's actually dated a Black woman, right? He probably just dated her so that he could be mean to her, right? He went out in public with a Black woman on his arm because he just hates the Negroes. What a fucking bitch. God, why do they got to even go down this route? There's so many things about Trump that you could actually point to that even I would be like, yeah, you probably got a point there. But instead, you got to fucking lie about it and try to make, he's a Nazi. He's literally Hitler. He hates the Black people and the Jews and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and probably Albanians. And I heard he didn't like the Sri Lankan. Why do you got to lie about this shit? God damn, man.
You look at what he did in terms of taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against the Central Park Five.
Tell that whole story, bitch. They had confessed. They had confessed. He took out it's not like they were found not guilty and Trump was like, "Nuh-uh, they still bad. Get them."
Right.
Which were a bunch of, they're not young adults. They were teenagers. Black and brown teenagers.
Hey, Kamala, how many teenagers did you put in jail?
Took out a full
2 Rosa Parks awards. Yeah, no. He's totally anti-Black. 100%. He basically funded the Black Panthers because he hates Negroes.
Full page ad on the New York Times calling for their execution for crimes they did not commit. They were innocent.
But they had confessed to it.
Donald Trump, who said of the first Black president of the United States, the birtherism.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean the Hillary thing? He repeated Hillary's conspiracy theory. They love putting that on Trump. They never bring up where that started. That was a Hillary Clinton thing. And we've seen this many times in campaigns where the party will be the ones who sink their own presidential candidate with the shit they brought up in the primaries. And Obama didn't even sink him. But he said he wasn't born here. Yeah, where'd you get that information from, sweetie? That was from the Clinton opposition machine, which, by the way, is actually pretty good at opposition research. I'm not saying that relates in any way to whether or not Obama is actually an American. I'm just saying they're pretty good at it. Do they have a bottle of Hennessy each? Yes, they do.
To have people question whether he was born in the United States to try and diminish. And then most recently,
No, not to try to diminish, to make sure that the Constitution was being followed, you fucking whore.
look in this very election, legal Black immigrants in Springfield, Ohio.
They're not legal Black. Oh, you son of a bitch. J.D. Vance explained this, and he did it in a way that even this idiot should be able to understand. They changed the rules to let these guys illegally into the country to say that they're here legally.
Saying they're
They did not change the laws. They're still illegal.
eating their pets. So part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me okay? My microphone just died for a second and had to be completely rebooted. So hopefully you can hear me. I'll be paying attention to see if you guys say yes or no there. There we go. Okay. Let's bring this bitch. This bitch is so bad she broke my microphone, man. I have no idea when I stopped or exactly when it stopped. I get a little message on my screen. I caught it as quick as I could, but fuck it. We'll just pick up where we were.
Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner? You think that when he's going...
Do you think Kamala's having you over for dinner? Kamala, to make your point about how you're better than Trump, you just suggested you'll have any of us over for dinner. So I'm going to need something really good. And I've never tried Indian food, so surprise me with something very tasty of the Indian variety. But nothing with cats in it. I don't know. I don't know if they do Indians eat cats? Something with beef in it. I'd like something with beef. Yeah, that would probably be best. You think Donald Trump's going to have you over to his house? You're not having us over to your house, you silly bitch. That is such a dumbass argument. Do you know anybody who's voting for Trump because they think he's going to invite them over? Dangerous, thank you. One, Trump let Nelson Mandela run out one of his planes like a racist. Actually, Donald Trump sent his own plane to go get Nelson Mandela. Yeah. Two, the statement in the New York Times does not mention the Central Park Five. Three, did Trump deny every black family? If not, it may not be racism. Fair enough. Thank you, Lamented Guide. Holy shit. Thank you. Thank you. Monkey, it's been ages since I've been able to catch you live. Congrats on the new grandbaby. And thank you and Jack for brightening up my mornings. You're welcome. Thank you for watching and thank you for the donation. Kamala Harris, thank you. Dinner at my place tonight, Monk. I made some McDonald's just for you. I'm going to pass on you. I don't trust you to work the fryer. Just going to be honest. He'd buy us Mickey D's before she would. True story. True story, Nuts. By the way, hi, Nuts. I saw you earlier and I meant to say hi and I got distracted as I do.
When he's with his buddies, his billionaire buddies, he's thinking about what we need to do to deal with addressing, for example, my work around what I'm doing to address disparities in Black men's health, around colon cancer, around what we need.
Just a reminder, this is about the economy. How is your economic plan different than Trump's?
To do around screenings, what we need to do around prostate cancer. Black men are twice as likely to have, and screenings, what we need to do to address.
I'm a survivor of prostate cancer.
Right. You know what?
And I'm not against anything she's saying here. And you can do most of that with public service announcements. You get it out there in the zeitgeist and people will take better care of themselves, theoretically. You're not going on some medical crusade. You're full of shit. Donald Trump gonna let all the black guys get prostate cancer. Shut up. That is so fucking racist of you.
What I'm talking about.
Go James and the Lakers are back putting on a show. And you know I got to get the best deal on tickets. That ran up $40 a year. Now they moved it up $400.
So let's talk about that. I'm glad you raised that. So
in the right direction. Specific things you would like to do to keep it, because the economy seems to be heading in the right direction. But the inflation, gas prices are extremely high. Groceries are extremely high. This rent. I mean, it used to be when I was renting, they moved the rent up $40 a year. Now they moved it up $400.
So let's talk about that. I'm glad you raised that. So, for example, groceries, yes, the prices are still too high. You know what I know it.
Yeah.
Part of my plan is to deal with price gouging. I did it when I was
okay. She keeps bringing up price gouging. Even if we take her plan at face value, right? Who's gouging prices right now? Because even, she likes to point to states have these things too. When the states have them, look them up. You can check this out. Trust me or not. I wouldn't trust me. Go read it for yourself. The states have these laws when there is a crisis. Like, let's say in North Carolina right now, right? Just had Helene come through, decimated the place. I don't know if North Carolina has one, but I know Florida does. Florida got hit by Milton. If you gouge down there, you start like your room rate for a hotel is normally $100, and you're like, everybody needs a place to stay. I'm going to make it $400. Then they'll come after you with their anti-gouging laws. I don't agree with their anti-gouging laws, but they are specific to disasters. What disaster is going on right now that you're going to use your price gouging powers on? There's not one. The pandemic's been over for more like 2 years now. There's nobody out there that's gouging prices, taking advantage of people because of a crisis that's going on the federal level. Dragon Mage, thank you so much. Trump is one of the cleanest celebrities, politicians. Imagine if other celebrities or politicians got the level of investigation and scrutiny that Trump has for the past 8 years. I'm only going to correct you in saying it's been 9, but yeah, you're right. Most of these people would end up in federal prison for child porn. Oh God, did you see that psychologist? I forget where she's from, that just got busted with sending out child porn of infants being abused by a grown man. I'm not going to describe what I read any further than that. Shocking. A psychologist is abusing children.
Attorney General, I'm gonna do it as president, which
By the
is
way, it was
these
a
companies that
woman.
will jack up the prices of groceries to take advantage of people in need, and in
Who?
particular during a crisis,
Who's doing
like
it?
what
Like
you
the
see around
pandemic.
the pandemic.
Who's doing it right now that you're going to be able to do anything about? Is Walmart overcharging for groceries? Is Target, Piggly Wiggly? Do Piggly Wiggly still exist? I've never been to one. I've only ever heard the name. But who's doing it? You can keep grocery prices is way too high, and if there's ever another major incident, then I will stop gouging. Even under their plan, they don't have anything that they can do. Literally anything they can do here.
Or Hurricane Helene,
Yes. Milk.
right?
Yes.
Milton,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's that. And
Okay. Let's do a multiple choice. Are grocery prices too high now because of A, Hurricane Helene, B, Hurricane Milton, or C, the Biden administration policies which jacked up prices 2 years before either of those hurricanes hit? I'm going to give y'all a hint. It's C. Good God.
in terms of housing, first of all, we know that Black families are 40% less likely to own their home.
Mm.
And we can go back to redlining.
Mm-hmm.
We can go back
Nope.
to policies that were
You can't go back to redlining and say that's why Black people don't own their homes when that shit's been over for decades. That's just no. Redlining was horrible. It was racist bullshit. But that is not why Black people don't own homes.
by law or practice meant to not give Black folks equal opportunity to home ownership, especially in certain neighborhoods. We can go back to what happened around the GI Bill,
Yeah.
and when all those, the great generation we call them, came back, and there
Black people today don't own homes because soldiers in World War II weren't allowed to buy homes when they came back. How many of you guys live in your great-great-grandparents' homes? How many of you live in the homes that your parents grew up in? Anyone? No? Me neither.
there was federal policy to say, you all fought for our country, we're going to give you a boost around helping you buy homes. But those Black servicemen,
this is such racist pandering, man.
and it was mostly men, those Black servicemen did not. So you had then a time when there was a boost
Mm-hmm.
for, it ended up being not for Black servicemen.
If this was 1950, she'd have a point. She really would. It's really weird how burdened by the past she is for being so unburdened by it.
Members. So part of my policy is to, one, create a fund so that we will give a $25,000 down payment to first-time homeowners.
As long as your parents and nobody in your line has ever owned a home, which, by the way, lots of Black people have owned homes. Black home ownership is way down from where it used to be.
To just help people get in the door. We will deal with the rent issue, because part of what we're seeing in Atlanta, in places across our country, is these corporations are buying up all these properties.
What are you going to do?
Which means then that they don't have to deal with
What are you gonna do,
competition
though?
between the properties, and they're jacking up rent costs. So it's about also going after that corporate gouging around what they're doing to buy up and then jack up the prices of rent.
Are you going to charge them with antitrust? You're going to have a hard time making that argument when they're, look, there's no doubt that that is happening. But they're not buying up entire cities.
We also need to help people with small business ownership. I did, even before I was
How?
running for president, a tour, I called it the Opportunity Economy Tour, focused on Black men and Black entrepreneurs.
Uh-huh.
What we know is, unlike Donald Trump, who got $400 million handed to him practically on a silver platter. And by the way, Shannon filed for bankruptcy 6 times.
Again, filing for bankruptcy is not like you and me filing for bankruptcy. There's different kinds of bankruptcy. Chapter 11, Chapter 13 are the two most common. Oftentimes when businesses file for bankruptcy protection, they're doing it so they can force new terms into their existing debt structure. It doesn't mean Donald Trump was living under a bridge because he had no money. It is a common business practice. By the way, he got 400 million and he filed bankruptcy. Yeah. He's also a billionaire. So maybe he figured something out there. I don't know. Maybe the businessman knows more about business than you do, and you shouldn't be having that shit come out of your mouth. Just a thought. Tyrai, thank you. The Congress policy that allowed for renters to not pay their landlords is why rent is jacked up. This woman is such a liar. No, what she's talking about with the corporations buying up rental properties, there were news stories about it for the last several years. It's become this thing that places like I want to say BlackRock's one of them doing it. It is happening. Like whole neighborhoods are being bought up by individual corporations, and yeah, they're just jacking the price way up. Is that all of it? No. A lot of it, you're not wrong about the moratorium on rent. That did have a big impact on it. BlackRock and Vanguard, thank you. Yes, that part is true. It's not the only issue, though. The biggest issue is we just don't have enough housing.
Everybody wants to say
everything else is just an offshoot of that. If we had enough housing where people weren't desperate for it, nobody'd be paying those kind of prices. But we can't do that because there might be a frog somewhere and can't build a house because that frog is important to the world. You've never heard of it, seen it, and then everybody will live their whole lives without it. But damn it, it's an important frog. JB, thank you. I love how they always say price gouging without ever addressing the real problem. Things like inflation, having a high minimum wage, and the amount of products simply walking out the door. When I did work retail, it was always the higher ups. Odd, isn't it? Well, yeah. I mean, I've never once heard Kamala talk about shrink. Shrink is the industry term for the stolen goods, stolen or broken goods. It's products you can't sell. And whether it's because, somebody took it out the door without paying or it got busted, that's called shrinkage. And I've never heard her once talk about that. Grazing is theft. That is another form of shrinkage. Yes, absolutely.
he's a great businessman. Take a look at his record. I know that so many of our entrepreneurs.
Okay, let's look at his record. He got 400 million from his dad, according to you, and he's now worth over $1 billion. So he's more than doubled his money. Seems like he's doing okay. Just throwing that out there. If you doubled your money, would you consider that a win or a loss? Oh, for fuck's sake. And that's with lawsuits and shit that he's had to deal with and all kinds of money coming out, taxes to the government, and he's still doubled up. Thank you, Q. I saw one of the Blue Anon shills bragging about Inflation Reduction Act today. Did you tell him that even Biden has admitted that was basically the Green New Deal? I ordered groceries online, so I have receipts. Some of my staple frozen meals were $2.29 in February of 2022 and $4.29 today. Weird how prices rose 35% after inflation was reduced. Just remember, inflation is always compounding.
Entrepreneurs who have great ideas don't have access to capital, but they have serious work ethic, great ideas, and a plan to do the work. So part of my plan is to increase access to capital, including giving $20,000 forgivable loans.
Forgivable loans? You mean grants? $20,000 forgivable loans. She seems to be saying she's going to do this for Black people. And I hate to tell you this, sweetie, the Supreme Court's already ruled on this. You cannot do that race-based. Evolved Potato, thank you. It's also happening here in Australia. It's also our government importing so many people from places like BlackRock buying homes here is a problem too. But they, as foreign businesses, shouldn't be allowed to buy property in my country, but we still let them. Yeah, I'm not big on letting foreign entities buy our property either. They can rent it.
For startup capital, for people to buy the equipment.
Right.
And then to change the tax deduction. So whereas it is now $5,000 to make it $50,000 to start a new business.
You're going to give a $50,000 tax deduction in addition to $10,000 forgivable, or sorry, $20,000 forgivable loan. Yeah, I can't see how that's going to be a problem. Rowan Cloud, thank you. 1, how far back does she want to back with homeowners lineage? 2, if you assume Trump's bankruptcies are as they paint it, doesn't that just make him a better businessman because he's back to being a billionaire? No. He sucks because he bankrupt things. Something. Snoo says, yeah, but Ranting Monkey, reparations. I mean, again, reparations is never going to fly. I think anybody who was a slave in the United States pre-Civil War should absolutely get reparations for the work that they did. 100%. Everybody else can suck my balls. Most of the people that are bitching that they need reparations have benefited from slavery the same way the rest of us have. It's a horrible part of our nation, but our nation wouldn't have grown like it did without it. So as disgusting as it is, we all benefited from it. Everybody in the States right now benefited from slavery. There's your fucking reparations. Eat my ass.
Because nobody can start a new business on $5,000. And the direct.
But the $5,000 was a tax credit. That's not starting it. That's for your taxes that you pay at the end of the year for your business. That's not your starting. That's not your seed capital. The fuck are you talking? She just relies on people being too dumb to understand what she just said. We're going to give a $50,000 tax break because $5,000 just isn't enough to start a business on. That's not the only way you're paying your $5,000 credit. The only way you're even using that is if you made enough that your corporate tax or your business tax is more than $5,000. All right. We're going to give you all your first year money free.
Benefit when we're looking at Black entrepreneurs is profound. And all it is about saying this. Americans in general, regardless of their race or gender, we have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams, but not.
Then why are you? Oh, hang on.
Everyone has access to the opportunity to let some actually accomplish that.
There's a whole bunch of poor honkies who can't get loans to start businesses. They have good ideas. They're hard workers. What were the other adjectives she used? They're good people, and they can't get access to loans either. You know, one of the biggest things that's keeping Black entrepreneurs from getting loans and shit, where they want to put their business, what their business model is. This is when we talk about food deserts. Food deserts are a real thing. A food desert is just basically a place where you don't have a grocery store around. My town was a food desert for years. And since then, thankfully, we've had people come back and get grocery stores going here. But the reason they don't is because it's not profitable. You can't get insurance on it because you're putting them in places where they're going to get destroyed. And I mean, you'd have the same problem in really rural, poor white areas. Crime is a problem in poor areas. You want to fix these areas? Get policing in there. That's what you really need. People hated it, but the broken window policy seemed to do really well for New York. Oh my God, that's a racist program, Monkey. I remember Times Square back in the 80s. I remember when people would warn you, if you even mentioned thinking about going to New York, don't go to Times Square, you'll get killed. Look at it today. You know why? Stop and frisk and broken window policies. How dare you? How dare you? You want Black people to live in nice neighborhoods, you fucking racist.
Want to increase access to opportunity.
Listen, unfortunately, I've gone viral a few times, but I've never gone viral for GLP-1s for weight loss. So you probably heard about the once weekly shot.
I really
once
hate my
through
hands
row.
sometimes.
Madam VP, if you were to become president, what measures would you put in place?
By the way, she never did answer what was different. I mean, I guess maybe tax policy, and she skipped the Nobel laureates. I'm actually a little disappointed there. But her answer about how her economic policies would be different than Trump's weren't even mentioned. Thank you, Dangerous Spaces. Opportunity economy. Was that anything like the Trump era opportunity zones? The thing that helped Black people? She's reminding me of AOC thinking on an Amazon tax credit was already existing cash. Yeah, she's not smart. And yes, the opportunity economy. We're not supposed to talk about opportunity zones. That yes, it was Tim Scott and Donald Trump got those pushed through Congress. And yes, they were to help downtrodden Black areas.
Place to make sure Social Security benefits continue, because there are reports that it could possibly be depleted by 2033. And there are estimated that 11,000 people turn at least 65 years of age every single day.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to make sure? Because that, people disability.
She already bitched that Donald Trump was going to wanted to raise the age to 70. So let's hear her great plan.
Retirement, survivors with beneficiaries. What are you going to do to make sure that that continues?
So, Shannon, to your point, there was an independent economic review of Donald Trump's plan, which shows that Social Security.
He didn't ask you about Donald Trump's plan. He asked about your plan. This is even in a fluff interview, she can't fucking answer this question, answer any question with what she's going to do. Her whole last answer was Donald Trump sucks. And now this is a very pointed, what will you do to make sure that Social Security stays solvent? First of all, let me tell you how much Donald Trump sucks, and hopefully you'll forget the question by the time I'm done telling you.
In the next 6 years would be insolvent under his plan, meaning that it would not be able to pay out.
All right, let's see. It is 2024. They're saying that Social Security is going to be insolvent by 2033. And she said, well, in the next 6 years, Trump's plan, it'll be so 3 years earlier than expected. I don't know how raising the retirement age is going to cost more money, but I'm sure she has an excuse.
What hardworking people who deserve dignity in their retirement deserve. And as you and I both know, there are a lot of our seniors who their only source of income is that Social Security check. That's correct. Right? It's the only way they're going to pay the rent or have food on the table.
How are you going to save it?
So my plan is about doing what we need to do to put the resources back into Social Security, but also expanding it. Because
it's going to be insolvent. So you're going to add money to it and expand it to more people. Are you fucking retarded? One, how are you going to put more money into it? Are you going to raise the ceiling? That'll take an act of Congress, by the way. That is written into law. And the only thing you can do, what you're saying is what? You'll tax the rich more? Because that's the only real way to do it. Because your other option would be to raise the percentage, which there's no way you're going to be dumb enough to say you're going to do that.
Here's part of the problem with Social Security is that for our aging seniors, if they are because here to do to put the resources back into Social Security, but also expanding it. Because here's part of the problem with Social Security.
Part of the problem with Social Security is how expanded it's gotten. It's not meant to take care of retarded kids. It was meant to provide a cushion for the end of life for people who work their whole lives. It's literally like a insurance for pay. You paid in this whole time. It's a retirement plan, and they give it to anybody who has disabilities. It was never meant for that. That's the problem. And you're talking about expanding it more. The fuck is wrong with you? How can you be this dumb? Let's hear what her problem with Social Security
is that for our aging seniors, if they are a couple, for example, and one of the spouses passes,
Uh-huh.
that cuts their Social Security benefits almost in half.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So part of my plan is to reconfigure it so that that surviving spouse does not then have a crisis where they've.
So you're going to keep giving money to a dead man so that his wife can survive. How about this? How about we admit if that's what happens with Social Security, it's a failed program? How about that? Tyrai, thank you. Well, maybe they shouldn't be paying Social Security to Ukraine refugees that collected a pension in Ukraine. Now we're not supposed to talk about that kind of thing. She's talking about giving spouses the dead spouses insurance, which you do realize that Social Security going insolvent in 2033 is with the current plan. And you're talking about spending more money. I have heard that, like, let's say you guys don't have enough money to pay your light bill. Like, let's say your light bill comes in, it's $100 and you have 50. The way that you can pay that light bill is to go spend $75 somewhere. Thank you, Q. Dead men vote. They might as well pay for their services. Fair enough.
Already lost their loved one. But we also just have to understand on a macro level, we've got to require that billionaires and corporations pay their fair share.
Again, this isn't how Social Security works. Social Security is not your typical income tax. It is a very specific thing. That's why there's a cap on the upper limit that you have to pay. I don't know what it is right now. Last time I knew it was what, 250,000. You only paid payroll taxes, that is your Social Security and your Medicare taxes, on like the first 250,000. Everything after that isn't taxed. And the reason for that is because they expect that if you're making that much money, that you're going to save some of your own, and that it's not fair to charge you, because Social Security, like I said, it is a retirement plan. So you're buying this retirement plan, you're putting your money into it, and you're supposed to be getting your money back. And what she's talking about doing is basically making it an income tax. The rich people this is where the ceiling comes in. Rich people will just get rid of the ceiling, so they have to pay more. One, you're talking about putting in an instant 12.5% tax on rich, on the wealthy. You don't think they pay enough already? Granted, she seems to think that somebody who works a French fry machine actually pays more taxes than Donald Trump or Elon Musk. But this is not, she's going to crash the fucking economy. Thank you, Silver. Hey, Chat and Monk. Congrats on the new Grand Monkey. Nice to see you live. Back to the beginning I go. I'm not going to lie to you, man. This one's been rough so far. This has been pretty fucking rough.
Right? They can afford to. And that's part of what is the difference between me and Donald.
It's not whether they can afford to. It's whether or not it's just to be doing it. God damn it. It's not welfare. Social Security is never meant to be welfare.
Donald Trump. My plan is about tax cuts for small businesses, for working people, for middle-class people. 100 million Americans will benefit around tax cuts. My plan is that no taxes will be raised for anybody making less than $400,000 a year.
She's literally stealing Joe's wording here. This bitch has not done anything unique or inventive. She's not put her own spin on anything. Even her bullshit price gouging nonsense is stuff she stole from other people.
Year.
And how come somebody who makes $401,000 a year is going to get more taxes, but somebody who makes $399,000 isn't? What is the dividing line there? How did you come to 400,000? Seems an oddly specific number, doesn't it? Okay, over on the Streamlabs, let me get this loaded because this is a little bit of a longer one. It's going to pop off my screen before I can read it. All right. Thank you so very much for that. I believe it's a feminist $12. It still hasn't loaded. I'm just talking so you guys don't know that it hasn't loaded yet. This is part of being a host. You have to drag shit out. Metal Minister, thank you for that feminist $12. About 15 minutes behind, and you mentioned shrinkage. That's what my dick does every time she speaks. At some point, my balls will need to drop again. Someone please close her mouth. Oh no, man, we still got more than half of this to go.
My plan is that we give young parents a $6,000
You're giving
child
away
tax credit.
How much money does she think billionaires have? Seriously. She's talking about spending trillions of dollars, and she says, we'll make the rich people pay for it. How much money do you think the rich people have combined, Kamala? Not their wealth. How much are they getting in income tax every year? How much are they getting in capital gains and in business tax? Meta Minister, thank you again. Also, congrats on the grandbaby. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
To help them pay for childcare, for a crib or a car seat, because you and I both know the vast majority of our young parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. And back to the way I was raised, I know that the children of the community are the children of the community.
You grew up in a rich area of town. People keep calling it upper middle class. No, she was rich. You can look at that house. That is a rich person's house. You know that Donald Trump doesn't know what the poor people are like, but the community. I was raised with community meant a lot because my mom didn't like me, and I don't blame her because I've met me and I don't like me either. She has never once lived as a poor person. She didn't have to go work at McDonald's when she worked or when she went to college. She was bought and paid for with mom's money. Fuck, man.
That you and I will benefit from that young family having the resources they need.
How? They might pump your gas for you.
So it's about all of us benefiting, but it's a state of mind and it's a perspective. Mine is about thinking about the challenges people face and getting them help. Donald Trump is full-time focused on himself. You watch his rallies.
Donald Trump said that we should not tax tips, and you like the idea so much you stole it. Fuck are you talking about? He's floated the idea of getting rid of all income tax. What was the one he did just the other day? There was another no tax one that he just did. Oh, he's got a plan to give a tax incentive or a tax credit to people who are doing home health care for elderly. He only talks about himself, unless you listen to what he says. How can you sit here and say that Donald Trump has all of these bad plans that so many people say is going to ruin everything, and then turn around and say he doesn't have all he ever does is talk about himself? Well, then how do you know his plans? I really need that answered.
He will spend full time talking about, I was going to say Freddy Krueger, Hannibal Lecter. Might as well be Freddy Krueger. Hannibal Lecter. He'll spend full time talking about his grievances, about what everyone has done to him.
Wait, is he spending his full time talking about Hannibal Lecter or his grievances? Because he can't spend his full time talking about one and the other. Thank you, editor. Vote Matthew Goley for South Carolina State Senate 21, State House District 52, and Richland County School District 1 write-in. Well, there you go, guys. I just did a paid political. I do not support the contents of this message. I don't know that person, but that's an endorsement from editor. Thank you so much for the donation.
He'll talk about himself, but he does not talk about the American people. He does not talk about what he's going to do for middle class.
Fuck are you talking about? Jesus fucking Christ. Yes, he does. Where do you think the whole plan you stole came from? Christ almighty. All right, I can't take anymore, guys. I'm sorry. There's like half of this shit left. I'll throw it into chat if you guys want to watch this stupid shit. I can't listen to her lie anymore. I really can't. And that's all she's doing is flat out lying. I get it. It's politics, and you're supposed to make your opponent look bad because making yourself look good would be impossible. But honest to God, man, just a little honesty. Is that too much to ask? How about you just go in there and be like, this is what I don't like about Donald Trump, and be on even saying, hey, he talks a lot about personal grievances. I think he's got a good reason to. Editor, thank you. I promise no wokeness. I think I still need to say that just because it's a political guy that I don't know. I'll trust you that he's not woke and everything, but I just have to be clear that I don't know that person. But I'm not saying nobody vote for him or anything like that. I just that is a paid endorsement, not from me. That's all. Anyway, there's criticisms you can make of Trump, but wouldn't it be better if at any point this is a woman who's like, Trump will not talk about anything but his grievances. How are you going to differ from Trump in economics? Trump is a fucking asshole, and I hate this guy, and he's a douchebag. Okay, how is your administration going to be different then? All he does is talk about irrelevant things. He doesn't talk about the American people. He fucking sucks. Yeah, but what is your plan to get us to a better place with prices and everything? Donald Trump's plan is gonna, he doesn't even have a plan, but the plan that he has is gonna fucking kill black people and probably Puerto Ricans because he's a bad, she doesn't answer fucking questions, and she sits there the whole time be like, Donald Trump will not talk about his policies at all, even though I think all of his policies suck. How can those two things be true? Who falls for this shit? Jesus Christ. Kamala Harris, thank you. I steal policies from my opponent, faces from dead women, and dementia-inspired non sequiturs from my boss. Sorry, the name that comes through with this was bleeding into the actual message, and it fucked me all up. Let me try that again. I steal policies from my opponent, faces from dead women, and dementia-inspired non sequiturs from my boss, all while listening to Tupac in college. True story. Lancelot, thank you so much. Last time she took this many softballs to the face, she was still blowing Willie. I mean, in fairness, Shannon did ask a couple of good questions there when he got serious. She just didn't come anywhere close to answering. I mean, he asked pointedly, how are you going to save Social Security? I'm going to expand it and put money into it, and rich people are going to pay their fair share. Those are talking points. How are you going to do it? What is their fair share? How exactly are you going to expand? You kind of touched on it, like, hey, if somebody's spouse dies, then their income's cut in half. Are you going to let them keep all of the dead person's money? Because the whole point, I don't know if you guys caught this, even she mentioned it. The whole point of Social Security is to give you a cushion until you die. Not to give your whole family a cushion until you die. You, the person who worked. Editor, thank you. I could have wrote myself in for coroner, but dead people make me squeamish. I wasn't able to vote for coroner. I almost wrote myself in for sheriff. I did write in one person, and I can't get too personal in this story. But there's a local politician we had to interact with, and they were absolutely fucking horrible at their job. Something that should have taken maybe a 20-minute phone call ended up taking almost 3 months. And that person was running unopposed, so I did write in a candidate for that position. But otherwise, I didn't write anybody else in this time. It was weird, too. I felt dirty. Felt dirty voting for a major party candidate. All right. Anything else I want to talk about? I mean, we'll hopefully do a regular show here later. Why are you lying to me and tell me I got messages? I'll have to watch that some other time. Okay, this is what was sent to me. I asked for it to be sent to me about Tim Walz not even playing. So when Donald Trump is giving his speech the other night at Madison Square Garden, the Democrats hosted a Twitch event where Walz here. Oh, I'm not as familiar with the Xbox controller. Should the X be lit up there? Anyway, Walz and AOC went on to Twitch, to get the 12-year-olds to vote and played Madden. So yeah, the X is supposed to be lit. Yeah, on I use a PlayStation controller, so my big, I don't even know what button that's considered. The big one in the middle lights up around it. Yeah, the X should be lit up. So he wasn't even actually playing. Shocker. The Ladder controller can be shut off with ECO settings. I mean, maybe that's what they did, Dutton. I don't know. Would you guys give him the benefit of the doubt? It wasn't Madden 95. Madden 95 was excellent. It was one of the best Maddens ever. I liked 09 too. And the last several haven't been horrible. They could have been better. I think the career mode sucks. Even the Xbox Lite can be shut off. Again, can be, and does Walz know about it? Stolen gamer valor? Yeah. Look, maybe he was actually playing. I would like to see this camera angle with him actually playing it along with the screen so I can see if he moves the left stick, if the character moves that way, I'd like to see side by side of it. Wait. Oh, that's what I like. I know there was something I was supposed to do. Dangerous. Thank you. Looked at the Forbes rich list for once. Adding up all their wealth, it came to less than the U.S. government's current yearly budget. These people are economic morons. No wonder the economy is so fucked up. Yeah, they think rich people just have an endless supply of money. He wasn't playing any games. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could set up my granddaughter against AOC in Madden and get her to win. So you don't have to be that good. He just had to be better than AOC. He hasn't played a video game since Pong. No, he did play, or at least it's shown on the screen, some driving game, and I don't know the name of it. He said he wanted to play GTA, but didn't for some reason. He kind of mumbled through the answer, and I didn't catch exactly why he chose the other game instead. But he played that game on stream, and some game where you drive as a taxi. No, it's not a new game. This is an old game. You taxi people around. Crazy Taxi, is that what it's called? All I could think is, why don't you play The Simpsons Hit and Run? That's a much better game where you drive people around. And I'm just saying. Anyway, fuck Tim Walz. I don't really care if he was gaming or not. I wouldn't be shocked to find out they lied about it. I just don't understand why they're going on to Twitch. The majority audience on Twitch is 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. Not exactly the people that you need voting this year, because they can't. Ricky Crimgate finally caught up after playing at 2x speed. Honestly, I feel Kamala talks about Trump, then Trump talks about. I'm guessing that should be Kamala talks more about Trump than Trump talks about Trump. That would be 100% true. Every goddamn answer she gives has to be Trump sucks. He's playing Madden to get the youth vote. You tell me why he's playing on Twitch. Why else? What's he trying to do? Get the people who come there to see women's titties? I mean, the only reason to go to Twitch is to try to capture the Twitch audience, which is, again, teenagers. Maybe Kamala has a secret crush on Trump. No, she's just a really bad candidate. I'm not even going to give her any other excuse. She is just a horrible fucking candidate. Be better than AOC? Yeah. Maybe that's what he's doing. What, going after the kids? Again, nothing makes sense about doing this. It really doesn't. if you're even with like AOC going to play, what was you? Fuck, I forget the name of the game. But when she went over and played with Hassan, she's done it twice. The majority of his audience is too young to vote. It makes no sense. Streaming Madden on a Sunday. I don't know why they went with Madden. They should have put these two in a Call of Duty lobby, an unfiltered Call of Duty lobby. That's what should have happened. Have some balls, you. Oh, I almost dropped the F slur. Among Us. Thank you. That's the one they were playing. I could see the little ugly characters, and for the record, I don't have a problem with being ugly characters, but they are little ugly characters. And I just couldn't think of the name of it. Fortnite. Yeah, but seriously, old school Call of Duty. That's what they needed. Somebody yelling at them like that. Hearing somebody call Tim Walz the F slur in a Call of Duty lobby would have been fucking wonderful. I would masturbate to that clip. Monkey almost demonstrated some COD lobby talk. I did. I almost did. Let's see. Guys, I'm going to go give my voice and body a rest. Show will be whenever the fuck I wake up. And then hopefully I have enough energy and we will finally get to play some Red Dead Redemption. It's all loaded, ready to go. The Steam version just came out at 10 o'clock this morning. I still have not played it. I was playing a different game and forgot all about it. And I went upstairs and my son asked me, have you played yet? And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize it was time. But I also haven't slept. So I need to get some sleep. And hopefully I don't destroy the world while I do so. I want to thank all of you for coming and hanging out and keeping me entertained when I was bored out of my fucking mind. Because I love you guys and you're awesome. Like nearly 300 of you came out here to listen to me bitch about Kamala again, and you're awesome for doing so. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for the donations. You're so kind. And I really do appreciate it. All the well wishes for my daughter and her family. You guys are fucking amazing. Best audience in the universe. The whole fucking universe. I can say that without having left Earth. It's just true. You guys rock. So only 127 gigabytes of day one patch to install. What game are you talking about? There was, what was fucked up about Red Dead? So they let you preload it. And then as it was preloaded, they had a 6 gigabyte download waiting for launch time. I'm like 6.8 gigs. Like, are you for real? You guys are dicks. Anyway. So yeah, show when I wake up, and then hopefully we'll get some Red Dead in because I'm dying to jump into John Marston's shoes. And I have it on my Switch. It's just kind of awkward to play on there. I don't play my Switch on a TV. I could, but I never have. So I'm looking really forward to this because you guys know how much I love Red Dead. So see, Kamala won't be doing Rogan because she wanted Rogan to travel to her and only do one. No, but I'm not shocked. She's not doing Rogan because we just watched that. Softball interviews. It's not as bad as you think. Because actually, in all fairness, for her crowd, I don't think she did bad. Anybody with a brain, it was fucking a train wreck. But she didn't do anything so embarrassing, at least in the half that we watched, where it's going to become a meme or, a legacy for her. And if she went on Rogan and did that on a much, much bigger scale, damn. JD is doing Rogan. That'd actually be an interesting show. Because unlike Trump, JD can stay on point. Don't get me wrong, guys. I saw Megyn Kelly talking about Trump's performance. It was in that same show where she pissed me the fuck off. And she was like, he did so good. He didn't. It was okay. He didn't step on his wiener at all, but it was not a great interview or anything. I thought he did really good. No, he didn't. He did okay. Trump does the weave. Yes, the weave. They talk about that in the Joe Rogan podcast. He gets off. It's like me when I'm closing a show, just all over the place, trying to get every fucking thought out of my head before I wrap up. In fairness to me this time, I've been responding to you guys. Disagree. I think it would be bad. Rogan would get pissed that she won't answer and will snap back. Also, her incoherence doesn't suit Rogan. I think you're wrong because Joe Rogan doesn't want to do an interview. Even the questions that we saw, that we just saw Shannon Sharp ask, are going to be ones that Joe Rogan won't even go into. Joe Rogan's not going to talk about policy. He's not going to talk about what are you going to do to save Social Security. He's going to be like, do you believe in UFOs? What's the Naval Observatory like? How did you feel? I mean, he'll probably ask that same "How did you feel when Biden dropped out?" thing. He might ask her about when she knew that he had lost his mind, but he's not going to ask her anything that requires a deep answer. So, have you tried DMT? I really haven't seen him ask that in a long time, but I haven't watched him much since he went to Spotify. Trump says a lot without giving a full answer. Like the guy, but I get annoyed. Me too. And I really, again, I hope she's not listening right now. I love you, baby. It really does remind me of talking to my wife and when she's telling me a story and she goes on for so long about all of these. She weaves a whole story. They're fascinating stories, but there have been times where halfway through I'm like, I don't remember how this started. I don't know where this is going. And it's because she's very thorough. She gets very mad at me. Like if let's say I want to call my brother and see if he's going to come up for the weekend or something like that, right? And I call him and we talk and he's like, nah, I won't be up. I'm like, cool. And go tell my wife, nah, he's not going to be up. I'm like, well, why not? I don't know. Well, what did he say? Like, no, because then I would have told you. She gets mad at me for not answering the right question or asking the right questions when I talk to people on the phone. It's funny as hell. I try. I really do try, guys, but I don't know if you women understand this, but we cannot think like you. We're men. We will never think like you. We try. We do our best. Anyway, what if DMT makes Kamala more tolerable? I think it would make her more human. Because my honest opinion as a woman is that there's nothing human about her. And I'm not, guys, I'm not trying to be dehumanizing there, but I really do mean that when I see her, and it's why you get the laugh, it's why you get the nodding. She knows that this is how humans are supposed to interact. She doesn't know why, but she knows that you're supposed to make people laugh, and she means it as funny. So ha ha. I've seen people call it nervous laughter. It's not nervous laughter. It's the same thing as when she nods her head or she shakes her head no. That's not a good thing, is it? And sociopath pretend to be human. Yeah, I've called her a sociopath before. I really do think she is one. I don't think she understands human emotion. This is not me being mean. This is like, do you guys remember back in 2020 when me and Jack are trying to convince Polly? No, we really do think Joe has a mental problem. This is that moment. I really do think she's a sociopath. I do not think she understands human emotion. And I think it comes through in everything she does. And if she truly did get really drunk or high, I think it would be humanizing to her because I think she would accidentally be human. So that, or she would just giggle the whole time and make people, that there would be a whole lot of people who need new monitors and televisions the next day. So truth is, she's a boring old woman and tries to convince people otherwise. I just don't think she has the skills to do anything else. It's not that she's boring. Look at the way she interacts with people. Go find the video if you haven't seen it of her meeting with her childhood best friend that she's known. She's been in my life since I was in kindergarten. And look at how she interacts with that lady. I've never seen a more awkward lifelong friendship in my entire life. But anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. I love y'all. Just wrapping up here so I don't get sucked into more. I really do need a nap. You know what's horrible? Sorry, I can't stop. I'm really tired right now. And when I get really tired, I can't shut up. I've driven my wife nuts for 3 decades with this shit. If we go to bed at the same time and I'm ridiculously tired, not just a little tired, but like I haven't slept in 2 days, I can't shut the fuck up. And I'm at that point right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Hopefully I will see you before morning time. Take care of yourselves. I love you. And this is why we wait for the song. Here's the deal. We don't sing on after. I just end it. After parties don't get a song. You got to come to the main show for a song to end the show. For an after party, you just have to stay here till I stop talking. It's more of a game. Guys, take care. I love you. I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.